Lonely, but damn, I'm going. I don't want no fake love, I want the real stuff. Everybody listen up, cause I'll only say it once. I'm gonna show you all the path, if you want it bad. I'm gonna show you where it's at, yeah, how you can get it back. Yeah, cause I ain't never done, I'll be number one. Working hella hard until I get just what I want. Yeah, rises like the sun, yeah, fatal like a gun. Shooters gonna shoot and I'm gonna shoot until I won. Yeah. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. Grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, yeah, cause I ain't never done.
Hey, good evening everyone. It's Friday night here on the AFib show live, and now it's doing double duty because I'm going to take some of the audio out of this and it's going to go into Cardiac Conversations, the podcast that's on iTunes and that. So I just give everyone a minute. I see there's people waiting, and I know YouTube and Facebook, the actual live launch can be staggered by 5 or 10 seconds. So just give people a chance to come in. So welcome aboard Friday night. I want to apologize to my email subscribers. That first email that said this was live from Grand Cayman, because that is incorrect, that it was a technical error because I copied a previous email and somehow that got left in there. Unfortunately, I'm only live from Canada. I'm not still in Cayman as much as I would like to be, but the weather has been wonderful here, so I don't miss it as much. When I left for Cayman, the weather was terrible. When I came back, it was beautiful. So it's really good timing. And it's sort of what got me thinking. I've been wanting to do an episode at some point on seasonal affective disorder because I feel like it's interrelated with my atrial fibrillation. But excuse me, before I get into that, let me just throw in my comments, make sure I don't miss anyone who's interacting. And I just want to mention we got some new technology going on here. In case you can tell from my background, I've got an AI producer who's replacing my background with the video as I talk, which is kind of cool. And a few other things we're going to show you during the episode, try to liven things up a little bit. As I mentioned before, I've got the new podcast, Cardiac Conversations, and that's now accepted on iTunes and Spotify and Google Podcasts. So it's really all over the place. And I'll just show you quickly how you can access that. Let me share my screen. But if we go to my website, you can see up at the top, I've got the podcast. You click that, you go to the podcast page, and there's all the different options, iTunes, Spotify, Google, etc. It's all in here, even on Amazon Music now, apparently. I don't even remember putting it in for Amazon Music. But there I am. I'm on Amazon Music and iTunes. Go figure. So I've got 2 episodes up. I've got my first episode where I talk about anxiety in the heart. And you can tell I'm really big into this connection between your emotions and how you're dealing with life emotionally and mentally and your heart, because there really is a solid connection. And we're going to go through that today using depression and seasonal affective disorder as an example to explain how all that works. So it's not going to be a depressing episode, I promise. It's going to be an enlightening episode, I hope. Okay, and I worked hard on this one, so I'm hoping you enjoy it. And, coincidentally now, I am on the tip of 1,000 subscribers, which would be my first major milestone. So you guys, if you can do anything to give me a boost and just get me over that 1,000 subscriber month, man, I would much appreciate that. So throw a share. If you have a favorite video of mine, throw it out in a share somewhere. I'd much appreciate that. Before I get into the episode, though, I do want to throw a couple of thank yous out because, I mean, I'll admit I do most of the work around here, but I have people that help me. And so I just want to thank Cayman Dave from last week, who showed me around Cayman for a week. He was a magnificent host. And then we did a nice 45-minute episode together, which is on Cardiac Conversations. It's also on my channel. I have a podcast playlist now, which goes out to YouTube Music. And so on the YouTube version, I actually have the full video of us sitting in the Cayman Islands and looking down at the cruise ships behind us. And on the podcast, you just get the audio, and it works for both. So it's kind of something I've been playing with it. But thanks, Dave, man. You really made a great week. And it was a really great interview talking about ultra running and his AFib and how all the doctors could focus on was the ultra running, and they didn't see the elephant in the room. That's something we're all aware of now. So it was an eye-opening episode that way. I also want to thank Gail, our friend Gail, who planted a seed in my mind when she sent me a video on vagal nerve flossing. So that came together. I'm like, okay, this I can tie with the seasonal affective disorder video that I've been wanting to do, and we can go through the physiology of that. And I want to thank Gail and Brian Steele for sponsoring episodes recently, so thank you for that. And we're going to get into it. But before we do, let's look at some new technology we got going around here. Because something happened to me in Cayman when I jumped into the ocean. And it's become a good excuse to show off a new feature I have that I'm going to call Gadget Cam. And here on my Gadget Cam, it's just part of my desk, but I have my now dead Apple Watch 6. And my Apple Watch 6, I'm kind of sad it died, because when I started this health journey, I actually read a book called The AFib Cure, and that's what sold me on getting a proper heart rate monitoring watch. And of course, I picked the Apple Watch because I'm in the whole Apple ecosystem. I admit it, they sucked me in. I'm there for life now. Unless Android gets its act together, I guess I'm there for life. But I never actually wore the Apple Watch in the water like you're supposed to be able to do. So I'm on vacation. I says to my friend, hey, you can just wear my Apple Watch in the ocean. He says, yeah, no problem. I'm wearing mine. So I just left it on. As soon as I got in the water, the thing literally instantly died, like 30 seconds in the ocean. And I realized I'm out of warranty, and I had the additional warranty, and it's out of that too. I'm like, geez, I really should have worn this in the water while it was still on warranty, because it turned out maybe my particular one wasn't so waterproof. So I ended up getting the Apple Watch 8, which I'm wearing now, and I have the warranty, and I've tested it in the water, and it's okay. But I'm bringing it up because I know with AFibers, we're getting a little obsessed with monitoring our heart, and it's probably the same for anyone with a heart rhythm disturbance. And I just want to compare the three solutions I have here. I have the Apple Watch 6, which did an okay ECG, but I always found it a little shaky, even if I held really still. And then I had this $130 thing I got on Amazon from eMay, which is a 3-lead ECG. So it's got 2 leads on one side and 1 lead on the other. But it gives a really clear reading, but it takes a sort of 30 seconds to lock in, and then 30 seconds for the reading. So it just takes longer to use. But I got to say, the new Apple Watch, the ECG is better than this, and certainly quicker. And I don't have to perfectly rest my arms on the table to use it. So it's been, it's kind of a happy upgrade. And I've also turned on the feature where it monitors, like the 6 didn't have it, I don't think, but where it just monitors and tracks how much time you spend in AFib over the week, because I have AFib. And so far I'm at 0%. So it's only been running a week, and it just says no data. It's been running over a week. It said it would take a week at least before it started showing reports. First report said couldn't find anything. So that's good. So it tells me what I've been doing. I feel confident to share with you all because it's still working for me. So, and it's always nice to have a double check. It's always nice to have an empirical measure on what you're doing to improve your health, so that you can, we tend to deceive ourselves into doing things, into thinking things we're doing are more effective than they are or less effective than they are. So it's always good to have an empirical measure like that. So I really like the Apple ecosystem for that. So it's very well thought out. So today, we're going to talk about seasonal affective disorder, depression, and the superhighway that travels through your body, connecting your brain, your heart, and a bunch of other organs in your body, called the vagus nerve. Okay, and a little concept called vagal tone. So I'm going to get into that with you now. Let me just get the slideshow going, and hopefully you find this interesting and useful. And we'll just get started. And if you have any questions, just feel like dropping in, and I'll keep my eye out for those. Okay, here we go. So depression and seasonal affective disorder, I'm just going to go through these fairly quickly. I got a lot of slides. I'm not going to go into huge amounts of detail. I just want you to understand the concept and how all this stuff comes together and ties together with our previous health model that I'm building in the Google Sheet that I shared with you in the past. So I put a link to this presentation in the show description. So don't feel like you have to snag screenshots if you want to keep a copy. It's going to be there forever. You can just go look at this anytime you like. So we're going to talk about the vagus nerve and its role, and what is vagal tone. Like, what exactly is that? Like, I hear this a lot, so let's actually define it. And then we're going to go into depression and seasonal affective disorder, and you're going to see how this all comes together with the vagus nerve and the connection to your cardiac health. And lastly, you know me, lifestyle measures. What can we do to improve things? So I'm going to go through all of that now. So the vagus nerve, I've got a little diagram here that I stole from somewhere. It's a very important nerve in your body, and it acts like the communication superhighway between your brain and pretty much your really important internal organs, okay? Right from your sex organs, your bladder, your liver, your stomach, your brain, and of course your heart. We're all aware of the gut-brain connection. We're all aware of the heart-brain connection and the gut-heart connection. Well, this is you can think of this as the internet in your body, the vagus nerve. It's the main channel of communication between all of that, okay? So the vagus nerve helps our body stays balanced, and it helps to regulate how well the organs work together. So it's more of a systemic effect rather than just setting one thing off at a time. Things tend to happen together. So when the vagus nerve is working well, it helps us stay calm and relaxed. So it's like the calming mechanism. And when it's doing its job like that, this means you have high vagal tone. So vagal tone is what we're looking for. That means everything's doing. So let me say hi to people in chat. Vagal tone means everything's working as it should. So having high vagal tone means you've got this calming influence on your organs and your body and your sense of anxiety and how you deal with pressure and affecting your sleep. So high vagal tone is a good thing, okay? Helps us handle physical and mental health challenges, okay? The vagus nerve is continually slowing your pacemaker. So when you're resting or relaxed, the vagus nerve sends more messages to your heart's pacemaker. So when the vagal tone volume goes up, your heart rate slows down, okay? But when you're exercising or excited, the vagus nerve tends to send fewer messages. So that's what's going to let your heart beat faster and do the work. Without messaging from your vagus nerve, so imagine we had severed this connection completely, okay? Your normal pacemaker all by itself without input from the vagus nerve, without getting those signals, you would beat your heart at probably just a little bit over 100 beats per minute. So when you check your heart rate, and if it's below 100 beats per minute, you can give credit to the vagus nerve for keeping it lower, okay? Anything that lowers vagal tone likely increases the heart rate and affects the other organisms that are connected to vagus nerve in some way, okay? Now let's talk about depression. I just want to define depression. We're all familiar with it, but I'm going to define it just quickly anyway. It's a mental health condition. It affects your moods, thoughts, overall well-being. When someone's experiencing depression, they might feel sad, hopeless. They lose interest in activities they used to enjoy. Depression affects your vagal tone, okay, which is the activity of the vagus nerve, as we just discussed. When a person is depressed, the body stress response will not work as effectively as it should. So you have depression causing this vagus superhighway to be less efficient. Okay. Seasonal affective disorder. Okay. It's a type of depression that is seasonal, normally in the winter, is linked to shorter days, reduced sunlight exposure, and changes in the body's internal clock. And I think this is really a deep-rooted, primal thing that just goes back eons. Like we can look at, because I was just in Cayman and I saw sea turtles, but there's a sea turtle that I don't know the species, but it has on the top of its head, the skin is white compared to all the gray of the rest. There's this white patch, and they actually figured out that this is an eye that actually didn't evolve. It's like a third eye, but it only evolved just enough to be a light sensor. So, and the turtle is using that to measure the length of the days to know when to cross the equator to the other side. So this light sensor is literally sort of like a monitor for the turtle to know when, hey, this side north of the equator, the days are getting short, and it's tied directly into their nervous system. So that no brain process, it just drives that instinct for the turtle to migrate across the equator. So anyway, I think that's how far back the effect of the nervous system goes to our behavior. It just goes all the way back. So now there isn't extensive research specifically connecting seasonal affective disorder to vagal tone. But a lot of research on seasonal affective disorder is kind of spurious, partly because the come and go nature of it. It's hard to study someone for 2 years when they're only depressed for 3 months, right? So a couple of ways that seasonal affective disorder and depression could affect your vagal tone, right? There's stress and mood changes can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and depression because, not only does it magnify those effects, but it wrecks your ability to deal with it and becomes this whole cycle. Reduce physical activity because you lose the motivation, you lose your energy levels. Okay, this in turn has you doing less of the things that would make you feel good and help alleviate the depression in the first rate. Sleep disruptions. For me, I have seasonal affective disorder. I'm well aware of it. And one of the signs that I have it is I suddenly start sleeping in because most of the time I am up at like 6:30 without an alarm. It's just instant. And when I start sleeping at 7:15, 7:30, I know it's coming on. And then I feel a lack of energy. That's how mine starts. And that's why I start doing stuff like hitting the tanning booth because I'm trying to extend it out. And before I went away on my trip 2 weeks ago, man, I was deep in it. I was just dragging my feet and just not waking up well and going to bed later and later every night, just completely out of my routine. And I was fighting it and I was caving into junk food cravings and sometimes. So it can really take your routine and have you throwing it out the window. Okay. And like I always said, for me, it always starts with sleep. And when my sleep starts to go off, everything else goes off, okay? Changes in your eating habits. So right here, changes in your appetite, food cravings, especially for carbohydrate-rich food, and social isolation. You start going out. So you stop going out. You stop seeing people in person. Of course, now you don't get that. Those hormones that you get, what's the name of that hormone? The hugging hormone, they call it. But you start getting less of the hormones that you generate from being around good company, and because you're isolating, and that just makes you have less energy. It's all a big feedback cycle. So the flip side of sad is something I never see discussed, but I'm going to discuss it because I have a little bit of this too. And that's when summer comes, you're no longer in the depressive side. There's something called hypomania. So hypomania is a very, very mild version of mania. So some people may experience a common form of SAD during spring or summer. I might be one of them, which can cause you to feel unusually energetic, excited, or happy. You might find yourself talking faster. You might find yourself just getting in that flow state at work and just being hyper productive. I mean, it's not all bad. It's a milder form of mania. And mania itself is a very unhealthy mental state, but this is a very mild form of that, and it can actually boost your productivity. During the hypermanic state, a person has lots of energy, talks very fast, might engage in more high-risk behaviors. It's sort of like a natural high. The challenge with someone who is hypomania is they're very high functioning, and you might not necessarily even catch it, but because they feel so good, they obviously don't want to take medication that's going to squelch it, because why would you? If you just feel naturally great, why would you want to treat that? I mean, just go with it. So that's the flip side of SAD. Okay? Hypomania and vagal tone. When someone is in a hypermanic state, their body might have a heightened stress response. So just like the depression gives you a heightened stress response, going the other way is a heightened stress response. So, and this can become a negative feedback cycle on its own. And my first real career, I was a psychiatric nurse, and I've seen this, and it can be bad. Okay? And a person goes from hypomanic to severely manic. They feel like $1,000,000. They're full of energy. They're talking 1,000 miles an hour. They feel wonderful. They're smiling. They're actually quite pleasant to be around, even if they're delusional. But they certainly don't want to be treated because they feel like $1,000,000. So it's a challenging thing. Vagal tone and your cardiac health, which is why we all come to my channel. We talk about cardiac health. The vagus nerve is a key communication highway between your brain and your other internal organs. Having a high vagal tones means the vagus nerve is just working well, and your body is better at managing stress, maintaining balance. It's like having a well-functioning set of brakes on the car, allowing it to slow down when needed. So to keep things simple, imagine the vagus nerve as that super helpful friend who helps you calm down and stay relaxed in stressful situations. When your vagal tone is high, you'll find it easier to deal with challenges, and your body will be more resilient in general. People with higher vagal tone also tend to have better overall physical and mental health. So there's a direct correlation between good vagal tone, good vagal health, and good full body health. Decreased vagal tone impacts many of your key organs. I see I spelled many wrong. We'll fix that later. Okay, the heart, we're all aware of this. Increased heart rate as a result of depressed vagal tone, okay? And reduced ability to regulate your blood pressure. Your lungs you can have more difficulty managing stress-induced breathing changes. For me, I know when I'm deep and sad, my asthma is worse. I need my asthma medication more often. And you have less efficient breathing patterns. So rather than doing that nice, relaxed, deep breath, you might breathe a little faster and shallower. You might find yourself mouth breathing more instead of nasal breathing. Okay, your stomach and intestines, it slows your digestion when you have that poor vagal tone. You have increased risk of digestive problems such as GERD, constipation, and bloating. Your liver and pancreas reduced ability to regulate blood sugars, and that could be right there while you're craving junk food. Okay, increased risk of developing insulin resistance. Again, there's that whole feedback cycle again, right? You crave junk food, you eat junk food, boosts your insulin resistance, which makes you crave junk food and eat junk food. It goes on and on. Your kidneys, a reduced ability to regulate electrolyte balance, which is a big, important thing to people with a heart condition, and increase the risk of developing high blood pressure. Like, your kidneys are so important for your blood pressure. They almost directly control your blood pressure. So your kidneys, the electrolyte balance, your salt, potassium balance, magnesium, with the nervous system information superhighway, your kidneys have a huge influence on your blood pressure. And it's partly why everyone with high blood pressure, they quite often end up on a diuretic, because that is part of the equation for treating high blood pressure. And finally, your immune system, you have a reduced ability to fight infections, and you have increased inflammation. When my SAD is really bad and I stop moving around so much, I notice by the end of the day my feet feel a little swollen. So I can definitely say that is something. Even with all the running I do, I did keep up my exercise through it this year. I was quite happy I was able to do that through my depressive stage. But I still get a little bit of swollen feet. Okay, so how does this all weave into our current evolving health model? So if you saw the episode or not, but basically I took all the sort of diabetes disorders and I laid them out in a grid, and I put dark red where there's a two-way relationship and light red where there's a known one-way relationship. And you can see they're almost all interrelated. So I call this our evolving health model. And there's also a flip side to this where I lay across the conditions and the lifestyle changes, and you can see that the same lifestyle changes improve almost every one of these. So I call that my evolving health model. The link is in the description. You can go check it out anytime you like. Okay, so the challenge is with vagal tone, depression, all that, is it's a chicken or the egg problem. Does vagal tone reduction trigger depression and seasonal affective disorder, or does depression and seasonal affective disorder reduce vagal tone? Or again, is it one of those two-way relationships where it's more like a feedback cycle, right? So given that there's not a lot of research in this area and a lot of it is speculative, I think it's best just to treat it as though it's a feedback cycle. And in the end, when we go to our health model, you're doing the same stuff to treat multiple conditions, and it's going to work for this. So let's go through some of that. How can we improve vagal tone? Deep breathing exercises. Practice slow, deep breaths can help stimulate your vagus nerve. Now, if you have an Apple Watch, and I think some of the competing watch manufacturers, they have these moments of mindfulness, and you just sit and do your breathing. So I would say you just put one hand, let me switch cameras here. Well, you want to keep one hand up on your chest and one on your stomach, and just do this deep inhale. And the hand on your stomach, you should feel that deep inhale down in your stomach, and just 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. And that's a good deep breathing exercise. You can set your watch to prompt you to do it a couple of times a day. And and meditation and mindfulness, again, there's so many free apps for meditating. You don't have to get the paid version. There's lots of free apps. You can do 5 or 10 minutes of meditation before bed or first thing when you wake up, and it's going to change your mood, and it's going to help. I mean, I'm a big believer in just that 5-minute meditation before sleep. If you can't sleep, try 5 minutes of meditation. You'd be surprised how effective it can be. Regular exercise, love exercise. Exercise just improves everything. I was listening to Dr. Sanjay Gupta today. He had a video. It's like 7 years old. And the big point he made was that, when you see a doctor, there's 2 things a doctor wants to do for you. The first is they want to keep you alive. And the second thing is, and I think it's a distant second, he thinks it's almost equal, but I think the second thing is quality of life. Okay? And the problem with medications is you usually have to pick one of these 2. Okay? You can have a pill that helps you live longer, but the side effect sucks, so you don't get the quality of life. Or you can have a pill that gives you a good quality of life, but it's probably not going to make you live longer. Exercise gives you both. Improves your quality of life and helps you live longer. So exercise is a miracle drug. So I shared that video out on my Facebook group today, exercise and AFib Facebook group, and it's true, man. He's absolutely right. It's exercise itself is a medicine. It's a drug. Okay, positive social connection. So when you're not in depression, if you can build that strong social network, have good family relationships, this is just going to help you during the dark times. Laughter and humor, watching comedy. If you're down, watch something funny, okay? Or, find a way to laugh. How else? Well, I mean, you could join me for a live show. We have good times, so drop a like, subscribe, share my show. Maybe that'll help your vagal tone, okay? Singing, humming, and chanting. So if you listen to music and singing along, the vibration of the muscles in your throat can actually improve your vagal tone. Cold exposure, so brief exposure to cold water, air. Now you got to take it cautiously, especially if you have a heart rhythm disorder like AFib or something. maybe jumping in and doing the polar bear plunge is not an ideal solution. But just putting even a cold cloth on the back of your neck, a really cold cloth or something like that, that can help stimulate your vagus nerve. Yoga and Tai Chi, these gentle mind-body practices can help promote relaxation and reduce stress, leading to improved vagal tone. Proper sleep, this is my biggest thing. With me, without proper sleep, everything goes out the window. A healthy diet, consume a balanced, unprocessed food diet, your overall health. So proper diet is like exercise. It's one of those things that improves your quality of life and helps you live longer. Now, if you think a good quality of life is being able to eat ice cream every day, then maybe we disagree on that. But overall, eating a healthy diet, unprocessed food as much as possible, it's medicine in and of itself. Okay, what else can we do? Well, Gail sent me this video about nerve flossing, and nerve flossing is something that I've done for my sciatic nerve as a power lifter. And when my sciatic nerve would get really bad, I would do something called nerve flossing. And there's a lot of science behind nerve flossing. And I never thought about applying it to the vagus nerve, but it makes sense. I mean, in the end of the day, the vagus nerve is just a really big nerve. And because it's so long and goes through so many parts of the body, it's actually a good candidate for nerve flossing exercises. So in the video description and in the PowerPoint, I put a video to a guy who's worked out a whole yoga routine that Gail sent me. Thanks again, Gail, for how to do some nerve flossing. And this guy has AFib and has helped him with his AFib and reduce his AFib. So he's probably worth listening to, probably worth going over and giving the guy a sub. So, and I sent him an email. Dude, if you're watching, I sent you an email. I'd like to talk to you on my channel. Would love to host you. Okay, our evolving health model. Now, we just talked about what you can do to improve your vagal tone. So, is it time to add the vagus nerve to my evolving health model? I think it should, but let's go through it, okay? So we have down the side, the interventions you can do, and as well the common diabetes stuff, and whether or not those interventions impact. And you can see it's almost universally green across the board. So the most bang for your buck is going to be exercise, whole food diet, losing weight. Okay. Somehow I didn't put proper sleep on there. I got to get that on there. But that is, so my evolving health model, that's two sides of the coin. There's the side where we show the linked diseases of, some people call it the Western diet or Western civilization, but that whole diabetes link, of which I think AFib is a major part of. And the flip side of it is what we can do about it. So you can see for all these conditions, they're all interlinked, both causally and curatively. Okay? And lifestyle can have a tremendous impact upon all of them. So that's the end of the presentation. And wow, I mean, I need a little sip after that. I feel like I've just talked consistently. But I guess on a live stream, that's kind of my job. So for me, seasonal affective disorder is a difficult thing. And some years are worse than others. There's been years where I've been, when I was younger, probably when I was about 30, I was actually, for 2 winters, I was almost completely immobilized. And during that time, I actually had tremendous pain that came from it down both my legs. And my frustrated doctor finally prescribed me really powerful painkillers, and they caused their own problems. And that was a really dark time. And so I never want to get on those kind of powerful painkillers again. And I'm really cautious when I see the signs of seasonal affective disorder. And the main thing I've been doing, and that's why I used it for the thumbnail, is I try to go into the tanning booth at the gym at least every second day. And I try to do it immediately upon waking up. I'll wake up, I'll grab my coffee, drink my coffee on the way to the gym. And because I feel like it's better just to get that blast of light and heat first thing in the morning. I feel like that's if I can do that, I sort of stave it off. So that tendency to want to sleep 2 minutes later each day, it sort of staves that off. And the longer I can stave that off, the better. And this year, actually, before I went for my trip, I was feeling really bad. And when I got off that plane and just felt the heat and the sun, I was like, I can't even describe. It was like this huge weight coming off me. And it wasn't until about, I slept really good that night, but that was a Thursday. And about Sunday, I finally really started feeling proper and right as rain again. And I'm so grateful to have had that opportunity this year. And maybe we should all go somewhere. In a perfect world, every February, March, everyone with seasonal affective disorder would just get a healthcare paid for trip to somewhere sunny and beautiful like Gilligan's Island or something. I mean, like, it's just ridiculous how something like just the shorter days and the stupid thing we do with daylight savings time where we change the clocks. I'm quite sure, like, my seasonal affective disorder, that's when it really went bad, was right after we changed the clocks. And it just happens like that every year. And Nancy's chiming in. Nancy, thank you for joining. I just saw your comment now, but I don't think it's very old. I can identify with all of this. It's why I moved to Florida years ago. Oh, that's beautiful. I love Florida. Florida is a great place. Where did you move to Florida from? Let us know. I'm kind of curious. Okay. Yeah, you can't do much better than Florida. I mean, actually, when I flew to Cuba, I remember looking down and actually seeing the coast of Florida and thinking, I really need to go to Florida. I've been to Houston as well. I love Houston for the same reason. I mean, Houston agrees with me. I went to Houston once for a work-related trip in February. I went there for a week. No seasonal affective disorder that winter. So maybe the world's trying to tell me something that I should be going south for the winter like the ducks. So, but it's difficult. And the problem with seasonal affective disorder in particular is that it has this way of sort of creeping up on you. You're just doing okay, and you're doing okay, and okay, you're like literally just sleeping in an extra minute or two, and then suddenly you're like, wow, when did I start sleeping till 7:30 every morning? I'm normally up at 6. And why am I not able to fall asleep easily at night when normally at the end of the day, usually for me, it's like clockwork, 10:30. Man, I am done. Maybe it's because I'm in my 50s, but I'm done. It's lights out. I'm ready to go to sleep. And I do, except during the seasonal affective disorder season. So, I mean, it can be really difficult. There's a big lack of energy. I no longer want to wake up, put on my running shoes and go for a run. And like, I'm just going to have a coffee first, and maybe I'll watch something on the YouTube, and then I'll actually start doing my run. I'll take a break from work and I'll go do a 40-minute run instead of doing something first thing in the morning. It's another thing I've noticed. So when your routine starts to drift, that's okay for a few days. But if your routine is starting to drift consistently every winter, you might have a touch of seasonal affective disorder. And just being aware of that alone can be helpful. You know, like a little self-awareness, that alone can be helpful. So, and there's I mean, I'm really glad we live in a world today where I can feel comfortable getting on YouTube and talking about something like having seasonal depression. And I can talk about health challenges I've had. Like, we actually live in a world today where if you go on the internet and you just broadcast it to strangers, you get support. People come back and support you. I mean, this is a wonderful thing. So I'm not sure if Nancy heard me. But it's a wonderful thing, and that's the thing I really love about YouTube, and I really appreciate about all my subscribers, is that they get in the comments and we trade our stories, and they tell me their challenges, and other people chime in, and it's just a wonderful thing. So I'm the type of guy, I like technology solutions, and a technology solution to feeling alone with your condition is one of them is YouTube and being involved with the YouTube community. So anyway, I've been away for a couple of weeks, and I'm glad to be back and live streaming. And I am trying to be much more regular live streaming. Typically, I try to do it Friday nights. Now and then it's a Saturday or Sunday because, well, I guess fortunately, I almost said unfortunately, but fortunately, I have a life outside of YouTube. And sometimes that just takes precedence, you know. We have family things and all that, but I really enjoy the live streams with you all. I enjoy the comments. I enjoyed the feedback. I like diving into a topic and then sharing what I find and weaving it in with, you know, my own understanding of my own condition, and I much appreciate it. So I just want to thank you all for joining me this week. And if you haven't yet, drop a like on the video. Help me get over to 1,000 subscribers. I will be incredibly grateful. And I'm going to march us out with some more Netflix music. And I just want to wish you all a wonderful day, and thanks for joining me. And I look forward to answering your comments in the video as well.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my own